Wimbledon is back, and the opening day is absolutely loaded. The defending champion opens center court. The women's world #1 follows. A 39-year-old legend chasing history takes the same court. Britain's big hope is on right next door. And hanging over all of it, a shock absence that has blown the men's draw wide open. So before a single ball is struck, let's walk through the marquee matches of day one, who's playing, what's at stake, and what to actually watch for. Quick setup. This is day one, Monday, at the All England Club, first round day, when all 128 players in each singles draw get going. But the headline landed before anyone even walked out. Carlos Alcaraz, the two-time former champion, has withdrawn with a wrist injury. That is enormous. It removes one of the two best grass court players on the planet and throws the men's title race wide open. Roland Garros champion Alexander Zverev moves up to the #2 seed, and suddenly every contender behind Sinner sees a clearer route to the final. With that in mind, here's who headlines the show courts. We start on centre court, where play begins at 1:30 in the afternoon, London time, where tradition hands the very first match to the defending champion. And that's Jannik Sinner, the world #1, opening against Serbia's Mirra Andreeva. On paper, a comfortable start, but there's a genuine question mark hanging over Sinner. He hasn't played a competitive match since a shock second-round exit at the French Open last month when he was visibly unwell in brutal heat. So here's a player with title favourite billing, especially now that Alcaraz is gone, but also one carrying real rust and something to prove. Kekmanovic is a solid, experienced opponent who won't be overawed, but exactly the kind of player a fully firing Sinner should handle without drama. So the thing to watch here isn't the result, it's the sharpness. Does Sinner look like the machine who lifted this trophy a year ago, or does the layoff show? Because if he's anywhere near his best, this has very quickly become his title to lose. And the draw has been kind. His projected path runs through a likely quarterfinal with Daniil Medvedev, a player Sinner has beaten in 10 of their last 11 meetings, before that potential semi-final everyone's circling. Next up on centre court is the women's world #1, Aryna Sabalenka, against Serbian qualifier Teodora Kostovic. Sabalenka is the top seed and the betting favourite, but Wimbledon is the one major that keeps slipping through her fingers. She has lost in the semi-finals on each of her last 3 visits, and she has still never reached a Wimbledon final. So her storyline is all about the mental hurdle. Can the most powerful ball striker in the women's game finally make it count on grass? The opener should be routine, but keep one eye further down her path, because a third-round rematch with Britain's Emma Raducanu is very much on the cards. And that's the exact match Sabalenka won right here last year. And rounding out centre court, the match everyone stays for, 7-time champion Novak Djokovic, against China's Wu Yibing. Djokovic is 39 now, and still chasing the single biggest prize left in the sport, a record 25th Grand Slam title that would stand him alone, above everyone in history. But there's a crack in the armor. Last year, his semi-final exit was the first time he'd failed to reach the Wimbledon final since 2017. So the question with Djokovic is the one we now ask every single year. Does the greatest of all time have one more deep run, one more miracle fortnight, left in those legs? Against Wu Yibing, the Chinese player making just his second Wimbledon appearance, having lost in the first round on his only previous visit, he should ease through. But here's the bigger picture. He's landed in the same half of the draw as Sinner, which means a blockbuster semi-final could be waiting. And that's the collision this whole tournament is already pointing toward. Over on No.1 Court, where play gets underway a little earlier, at 1 o'clock local time, the British spotlight falls on Emma Raducanu, the 2021 US Open champion and home #1, facing Croatia's Antonija Ružić. And this one comes with a worry attached. Raducanu's build-up has been clouded by concerns over a shin injury, on top of a season already disrupted by illness. So the first thing to watch is simply her movement and her fitness. Is she at full tilt, or quietly managing something? If she's healthy, the British crowd has real reason for optimism on the grass, where her game can shine. And just like Sabalenka, a tantalizing thread runs down her side of the draw, that potential third-round meeting with Sabalenka herself, a shot at avenging last year's defeat, on the biggest stage of all. Also on No.1 Court is arguably the most intriguing pure matchup of the entire day, 8th seed Daniil Medvedev against Marin Čilić, a clash of 2 Grand Slam champions, in round 1. Medvedev is the clear favorite by ranking, but he is genuinely vulnerable here. He crashed out in the first round at this tournament last year, and grass has never been his happiest surface. Čilić, on the other side, is a former Wimbledon finalist. He reached the final back in 2017, and on his day, the big serving veteran remains dangerous on these courts. This one has upset potential written all over it if Medvedev starts slowly. It's exactly the kind of first-round landmine that can define, or derail, a player's entire fortnight. And closing out the showcourt action is one of the brightest young stars in the game, 5th seed Mirra Andreeva, the reigning Roland Garros champion, against Poland's Magda Linette. Andreeva arrives brimming with confidence after winning her maiden major on the clay, but here's the catch, she's yet to win a match on grass since that breakthrough. So this is a real test of whether her brilliant form carries over to a completely different surface. Linette is a crafty, experienced campaigner who can absolutely make life awkward early. Clear this test, and Andreeva is a legitimate dark horse for the title. Stumble, and the grass court doubts only grow louder. And it isn't just the two show courts. Scattered across the outer courts on day one, where play starts earliest of all, at 11 in the morning, London time, are a host of other big names getting their campaigns underway. 3rd seed Felix Auger-Aliassime, one of the men who could benefit most from Alcaraz's absence, is in action. As is women's world number 7 Coco Gauff, the kind of athlete who can win on any surface and is always a threat on grass. American Jessica Pegula, another top contender, also opens up away from the main stage. None of these are glamour first-round ties on paper, but with the men's draw cracked wide open, every one of these seeds suddenly has a clearer road than they did a week ago, which makes their openers more important, not less. So that's your day one roadmap. The threads to follow: how sharp Sinner looks after that layoff, whether Sabalenka can finally crack the Wimbledon code, whether Djokovic has one more title run in him at 39, and whether Raducanu's body holds up, all of it under a men's draw that Alcaraz's absence has thrown wide open. And a heads up for tomorrow, day 2 brings the moment a lot of you have been waiting for: Serena Williams' return to singles. But make no mistake, day 1 on its own is a feast. So tell me, who are you most excited to watch on opening day, and does anyone pull off a first-round shock? Drop it in the comments. Let the championships begin.